X now, extreme sports at a standstill. BC looks at ways to prevent backcountry snowmobile deaths. BC plans to pass a series of policies and regulations for using off-road recreational vehicles by November 2011, BC. Solicitor General Cash Heed said Monday. The new policies will include rules for riding snowmobiles in dangerous avalanche country. Heed said the policies will address issues such as licensing, enforcement, education, as well as ways to prevent a recurrence of Saturday's tragedy at Boulder Mountain near Revelstoke. 2 persons were killed and 30 others were injured while operating snowmobiles in an area known to have a high avalanche risk. As you enter one of the trails, there is a sign that clearly warns of its extreme conditions and the avalanche dangers. People who went into this area ignored that warning, and they made the decision to actually go in there, Heed said. Heed admitted there's not much you can do about individuals who ignore such warnings. No matter what we do as a province, it's going to be difficult for us to control and regulate. People need to make those responsible decisions based on the experts who tell us when, in fact, it is dangerous to go in there. He said he would consider a system of fines or even billing search and rescue costs to those who ignore such warnings and put rescuers at risk. He would also consider closing mountain areas outright to public access. BC has some of the best outdoor activities on Crown land, but if people do not enjoy them responsibly and continue to ignore avalanche warnings, we'll have to move to a different stage and do whatever we can to prevent further fatalities. We don't want to prohibit that recreational activity, Heed said. We want to make sure we have proper processes, regulations, and prevention in place to prevent incidents such as this tragedy on the weekend. The coroner and the RCMP are continuing their investigation into the deaths, including those who may have been responsible for organizing the event. Executive Director of the BC Snowmobile Federation, Les Austin, said snowmobilers have a personal right to ignore avalanche warnings. I don't believe there needs to be greater regulation. Austin said, we need greater education and stuff like that so people can make better informed decisions. That doesn't happen overnight. Carl Klassen, Public Avalanche Bulletins Manager for the Canadian Avalanche Centre, said that less than a month ago, a snowmobiler broke his back during another avalanche at Boulder Mountain and was taken to the hospital by helicopter. Local people who have sledded here for a long time know that slope produces avalanches, Klassen said. It is not a slope that is benign by any stretch of the imagination. The Canadian Avalanche Centre published a report in 2009 entitled The Year of Sledding Dangerously, in which operations manager John Kelly expressed frustration with snowmobilers who routinely ignore avalanche warnings. Kelly's report concluded, I think we know enough about the prevailing societal mood to know that if change does not come through stakeholder and community action, it will be imposed by the public interest. Klassen confirms it is frustrating to watch people continue to put themselves and their rescuers at risk. While he cannot say whether all snowmobilers fully appreciated the risk Saturday, it is everyone's responsibility to be aware of conditions before heading into the backcountry. He added that people who have never experienced the fury of an avalanche may still not fully appreciate the message. It's not real until it actually happens, even for people highly educated about avalanches and highly aware. I've heard many, many times, I know you taught me in class. I know you showed me pictures and videos. But when that thing hit me, I could not believe it, how powerful it was, how difficult it was to escape, and how helpless I was when I was caught in it. Klassen said the center does not take a position on the need for stricter regulations, but stressed the necessity of connecting with those individuals who place themselves at greater risk. There's work to be done on increasing the culture of awareness among certain user groups that go into the back country. With the snowmobiling crowd, figure out what's the language, what's the terminology, what kind of message they will actually listen to. Austin said the Snowmobile Federation is a member of the Canadian Avalanche Centre and has tried too hard to educate BC's 130,000 snowmobilers about avalanche dangers. We're doing everything we can to provide as much educational outreach material for people. We're stepping it up as much as we possibly can. Austin said that more snowmobilers are taking avalanche training, but there remains a certain percentage that still ignores the warnings. Of the events that took place Saturday, Austin said, every one of them made that personal choice. These are all personal choices people made to go to do something like that. The warnings were definitely up. Child endangerment charges. After the snowmobile accident in Revelstoke, British Columbia on March 13, 2010, the RCMP considered charging Joey Skowerneck with child endangerment. Skowerneck, a contestant in the Big Iron Shootout, was seriously injured. He brought his son Joey Jr. to watch the event, even though there was a sign clearly stating there was an extreme avalanche warning in effect. Joey Jr. suffered a head injury. When he was brought into the Queen Victoria Hospital, his head was the size of a pumpkin and covered in blood. His father may have saved Joey's life, Junior's life, by moving him to what Skowerneck thought was a safe place as the avalanche approached. But the fact Skowerneck placed his son in a known life-threatening situation is enough for the RCMP to consider charging him with child endangerment. The following is an excerpt from Into Thin Air by John Krakauer, a personal account of a Mount Everest disaster. Everest seems to have poisoned many lives. Relationships have floundered. The wife of one of the victims has been hospitalized for depression. When I last spoke to a certain teammate, his life had been thrown into turmoil. He reported that the strain of coping with the expedition's after effects was threatening to wreck his marriage. He couldn't concentrate at work, he said, and he had received taunts and insults from strangers. For Neil Beetleman's part, he helped save the lives of 5 clients by guiding them down the mountain. Yet he remains haunted by the death he was unable to prevent of a client who wasn't on his team and thus wasn't officially his responsibility. I chatted to Beetleman after we'd both reacclimated to our home turf, and he recalled what it felt like to be out on the South Col, huddling with his group in the awful wind, trying desperately to keep alive. As soon as the sky cleared enough to give us an idea where camp was, he recounted, it was like, hey, this break in the storm may not last long, so let's go. I was screaming at everyone to get moving, but it became clear that some people didn't have enough strength to walk or even stand. People were crying. I heard someone yell, "Don't let me die here." It was obvious that it was now or never. I tried to get Yasuko on her feet. She grabbed my arm, but she was too weak to get up past her knees. I started walking and dragged her a step or two. Then her grip loosened and she fell away. I had to keep going. Somebody had to make it to the tents and get help or everybody was going to die. Beetleman paused. "But I can't help thinking about Yasuko," he said when he resumed. His voice hushed. "She was so little. I can still feel her fingers sliding across my biceps and then letting go. I never even turned to look back." Dear Diary, Mom was really bummed out today. Still happens even after all these years. I can relate to that. I still get bummed out too, but for different reasons. But at least she got to know him. Meanwhile, I don't even know what to call him. Dad, Daddy, Father, Sam. He is a huge part of my life, but I have never talked to him or even seen him. Freaky thing is, I see bits of him in my face every time I look in a mirror. He is like a ghost that haunts me, follows me. Today especially. I want to take all the pictures of him and Mom pregnant with me and turn them face down so I don't have to look at his face ever again. Maybe Mom might be able to move on if the house wasn't a shrine to his memory. Actually, I'd rather throw them all out. It's only because of Mom that I don't. But it didn't have to be that way at all. He made it this way. Why did things always have to be his way? What about Mom? Didn't she deserve to grow old with the love of her life? That's what she calls him. And what about me? Was I a mistake? Why did he have a daughter when he couldn't be there for her? Other dads help teach their kids to ride a bike. It's what dads do. Where was he when I was learning to ride my bike? Where was his hand that should have been holding the seat of my bike to keep it upright? Where was his encouragement? Where was he when I needed a gentle push to get back up on the bike and try again? That this time I could get it right. And he missed that huge smile of satisfaction when I was able to ride a few meters all by myself. All by myself. Good times, bad times, he misses them all. Was he there when we had to put Rex down? No. That was the first time I really had to deal with the passing of someone important in my life. And he stuck it all on Mom to deal with. Was that fair? Was that responsible? Did he ever think of those things? Did he ever do anything for anyone besides himself? All his friends tell me what a great guy he was. Great sense of humor. Never said a mean word. Really? What kind of great guy chooses to miss his daughter's childhood, his daughter's life, make his wife a widow? That's what offends me the most about not having him around. He knew it would work out this way, right from the very beginning. He knew this from the very beginning. Everything had to be bigger, better, faster, higher, longer, more extreme, and he knew that one day the odds would catch up with him. Only a complete idiot would think that nothing would ever go wrong, that all plans were perfect, that there was always time to recover from an equipment malfunction. Didn't the light go on when he couldn't get life insurance? All I know of him is secondhand, and that's the best it will ever be. Mom tells me stories about him from time to time, mostly when she is feeling all alone, like today. YouTube videos make him out to be some kind of folk hero. Hero? I can never get to know him for myself. I can never, ever have a relationship with a father, my father. He continually played Russian roulette and lost. And I lost. Comes with the territory. Mary Patterson's most extreme pastime is riding her bicycle down a bike path for an hour on Saturdays if the weather cooperates. Even so, she understands the attraction of risky activities and their heart-pounding danger. Her husband was a policeman. Sam Patterson died at the age of 32. He was responding to a breaking and entering call when he fell through a false ceiling. You love someone, you know who they are, and accept them. You can't change that need for adventure. Mrs. Patterson continued. You signed on the dotted line, and then when it happens, it's horribly painful, even though in the back of your mind you knew it might end this way. Extreme skiers and race car drivers risk their lives too, but it's different. They are in sports, entertainment, but my husband was saving people's lives. Still, it's good to see people pushing the limits. It's good for society to see just what can be done if the limits are pushed. We have to respect those people. Us? Snow fences are a passive technique that aims to slow down, divert, and stop the moving snow and prevent it from moving, either